Hello, my name is Mary.
And I'm James.
And welcome to the Watch That Join podcast.
Yes, sir. We're excited to continue season 2 of The Last of Us on Max. And right now we're on episode 3.
The Path.
The Path, yes. And we should just dive right into these episodes. Basically, what we're going to do is read the main plot lines and we're going to discuss it section by section.
All right, you want to start or you want me to start?
I'll kick it off. After the battle of last episode, Joe's corpse is being cleaned by a settler when Tommy walks in and takes over. He takes one final look at his brother's face. Meanwhile, Ellie wakes up in a hospital hysterical. 3 months go by. The townspeople are still rebuilding Jackson Hole. Ellie is finally dispatched from the hospital, but not after talking to the therapist Gail. She then goes to Joel's old home and mourns him in private. So whenever a show or a movie or a TV show kills a main character, I normally dread the next episode.
Why is that?
Because typically the next episode is filler and it's just all about like mourning that character.
See, I like that because I feel like for me, I need that. I need that. I need a pause moment so I can get over the loss of never seeing this character again.
Yeah, and the directors kind of made that point. They kind of hinted at that. But I feel like this whole scene was appropriate, sad, but not drawn out too long. You know, because at the end of the day, it's a zombie apocalypse movie, and we want to get back to the action.
I don't think that's true. I get what you're saying, but I think Joel, like you said, he's a main character. He's integral in the show. He's integral in the video game. Seeing him grow and actually become connected to someone, you know, I think, and seeing him and Ellie's bond, it's a lot of emotional investment, you know. So I don't,
as the viewer,
yeah. You know, well, a lot of emotional investment that the writers and the creators of the show put in, and as a viewer that we feel. So we do feel emotionally connected to Joel. So I do think I would like a little more time to mourn his death too. I don't want to get right back to business because then it feels like he never existed and like, you know, yes, it's a show about zombies, but it's also a show about humanity as well. So
yeah, no, that's a fair counter argument. I just, like I said, I didn't really want to get in my feels, but I didn't play the video games as much as you let me know over and over.
Yeah,
I'm
going to continue to point it out.
But yeah, it's Ellie is obviously trying to be tough, and even when she talked to Gail, and Gail asked her like if she's okay, she's like, "Yes, I'm fine." And she basically answered all the questions.
She's saying all the right things, but Gail knows. She's smart enough to know that this is BS. This is BS. But she's also smart enough to know that I can't press Ellie to tell me what she doesn't want to tell me. So let me just let her say, you know, it's funny because Ellie, you know, she knows therapy speak so well. She was like, your final moment with someone doesn't define your whole time with them. And Gail's like, it shouldn't, but it often does. And, you know, and it's like, Gail just knows. She's like, yeah, you're saying what you need to say. Like, this is one point when Gail's like, I understand that your last interaction was a hostile one. It was at the New Year's Eve party when you yelled at him and then didn't speak to him. And it struck a chord with Ellie, you could tell, but she composed herself and she said, yeah, something cheesy along the lines of, I guess I need to let myself off the hook for that. And Gail's just like, okay, whatever, girl. Like, we know it's not that simple. And we can tell because as soon as Ellie leaves Gail, her demeanor gets lonelier and lonelier.
It does.
Yeah.
Because obviously she's anxious to get out the hospital. She's been in the hospital for 3 months. But as soon as she gets out the hospital, the reality of it sinks in that she's alone again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is terrifying.
You see it on her face. And Yeah, she just goes to Joel's old home. She takes his gun, put it in her back pocket, which I always thought was wild. Always thought it wasn't loaded, but I always thought that was wild. And she just like goes to his closet, sees an old jacket of his, and just like sobs into it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad. It's sad.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, even when Ellie, I realized for me, when someone close to me dies, I just want to sleep because it's easier to live in a dreamlike state than to wake up and face the reality of that person no longer being there. So it was hard seeing Ellie wake up from the hospital, immediately remember what happened, and then just screaming hysterically. She's like inconsolable.
Yeah, especially since she saw how the way he went out,
Yeah, she was right there.
defenseless,
Yeah. Uh,
and just she couldn't save him. Just so close to saving him. It's definitely traumatizing.
hmm
It's definitely
And
traumatizing.
one thing,
And she had 3 months to sit and think about it.
yeah, even though she treated
You
it
know.
like prison, like doing push ups and crunches when the hospital staff wasn't looking. Just taking every push up, B, B, B. Like,
You got to get these abs up if you want to be Abby. You
hmm
know,
and one thing that I
these
thought was
gains.
interesting, when they showed Joel's body when Tommy was cleaning it, and I feel bad for Tommy too. He's like, "Give Sarah my love," and Sarah is Joel's daughter, who died in the first game. And it's like Tommy lost a brother and his niece. Like that's and probably many others. That's hard.
Probably many
Yeah.
others. Yeah.
And they showed a shot of Joel's broken watch, and I'm just like, Joel's time is up. Like,
Mm.
literally. Yeah. Dina also goes to Joel's home, unknowingly interrupting Ellie sobbing. Dina reveals everything she knows about Abby and her crew. Immediately, Ellie wants to head off to Seattle and avenge Joel's murder. Tommy convinces Ellie to petition to the Jackson Hole Council to form a team who will find Abby and the others and kill them.
So when Dina tells Ellie, when she goes and visits her, she brings her cookies and says, "Hey, this is a peace offering because you're gonna be angry with
And those
me."
cookies look good, nice and thick.
They did look
Yeah.
good. Listen, especially like apocalypse, like
Yeah.
actually something sweet, you
They
know.
look like
But
those oatmeal bars. They look like that, but a cookie.
mm,
Yeah.
like an oatmeal granola cookie.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So when she goes and says that she lied about not knowing anything about the people who killed Joel and was able to describe them, their names, and know exactly where they were headed, and obviously, Ellie was very upset about it. Do you think that Dina was justified hiding that fact, or she should have told her immediately?
Absolutely. Listen, this episode shows us once again that Dina is smarter than Ellie. She's just as spunky, she's just as stubborn, but she thinks things through. And Dina said something that was smart. She was like, if you want to find someone and the only thing you know is where they're going to end up, maybe let them get there.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
and like she said, she knew Ellie is impulsive. Like she said, she would have been ripping out her hospital tubes and crawling her way to find Abby and the others.
And also, it's not really like so. Ellie in the hospital bed was probably like fantasizing about revenge, but didn't have a real way to do it. I don't think it would have been constructive or even allowed her to heal if she knew exactly who killed her and where she had to go.
Absolutely. And my thing is the fact that Dina waited, she found out more information. She
She did.
she remembered having a conversation with Eugene, who's Gail's husband, who's now dead. He was murdered by Joel, but he was a former Firefly. And she found out, she said that Fireflies, the militia group, they branched off into different subsections um to fight Fedra, and Eugene said it was dumb. He doesn't know why they didn't all come together. But there is this one subsection in the West called the Washington Liberation Front, WLF, Wolf. And that was the wolf insignia that she saw on someone's backpack the day Joe was killed. And she remembered that and she made that connection. Ellie wouldn't have not known any of that if she didn't let Dina take her time and process it and figure out a game
You're right.
plan. So absolutely. I
Yeah,
understand Ellie being upset when she said you wasted time, you let them get away. But what Dina said was smarter. So
it was. It was. No, I agree. And also, I feel like this is another way that Dina shows her loyalty because she could have kept the information indefinitely to herself, and she could have just said like, "Yo, you know what? We just got Ellie back. We just lost a lot of people. I miss Joel." Dina even says, "I loved him too,"
mm-hmm.
and she could have just let it rock, and they could have mourned him. But instead, she knows ultimately that Ellie wants revenge, and deep down inside, so does Dina. So she actually brings it to her, even though knowing that Ellie's gonna be upset. And I thought that
Very
was showed
unselfish.
very
Because I wouldn't
unselfish.
have said
Exactly.
anything. And like in a place where like literally the most precious thing in life is the people you have. But it's like I've lost so many. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lose you over a dead man. I'm
No,
just
you're
not.
right.
I'm not doing that.
No,
I'm
you're
not.
right. It is
Yeah.
basically the risk of losing the last people you care about isn't worth revenging someone else. I asked Eileen, would she go to Seattle to go
Alina's a
avenge me? She was like,
Scorpio. She would have been there immediately. She would have been there
she said no.
immediately.
She said no.
Really,
She was like,
that's a
no, I ain't
lie.
going. I know. She was like, no, I ain't going.
She wouldn't.
Mm-mm. She's shaking her head now, looking at me, saying no, she wouldn't go. She's like, what? It risk my life?
Okay, it can't be her father. It has to be one of her siblings, and they did that to like Emily.
Oh yeah, if it did it to Emily
What's she saying
or
now?
Jordan, no, she definitely
Yeah,
would go.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew
Yeah,
it.
she gave me a
We just
temper.
chose the
Yeah,
wrong
she
person.
definitely
She doesn't love her father
would.
enough.
Yeah, no, I meant me.
Oh, you? Yeah, she doesn't love you enough. Yeah,
No, exactly. She doesn't love me enough, but she definitely would go for
yeah.
Emily. Absolutely. Well, maybe didn't Angela.
The babies. So one thing that's interesting. What do you think the passing of the cookies meant?
So I think it was like so first Dina passed the cookies to Ellie and she ate one. It was a peace offering, like she said. And when I think it's just a peace
But they
offering.
kept
Just them
passing
saying,
it back and forth. It kind of seemed like you know how sometimes if you're at a meeting, you pass the mic and that one
mm,
person talks.
mm.
To me,
I
it
was about to
seems
say
like
that.
you're eating. Your mouth is full of cookies, so you cannot interrupt me while I'm speaking, while I
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah. Like just listen.
Mm,
Eat a cookie and listen.
yeah.
That's probably what it is
That's
too.
a good maybe I'll do that if I have an argument and I feel like me and someone else are talking over each other. Eat this because you're happy because you're eating something.
And give them like some gooey peanut butter cookies. So all they have to do is chew.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can't finish it. Like don't
Like
give
if you
them just
try
like
to
little
talk,
popcorn.
you're going to choke, so you have to shut up.
Yes, like you had to shut up. You had to shut up and drink some milk next to it and give me some time to finish what I'm trying to
Oh,
say.
something spicy.
Okay.
But one thing that Tommy said when they went to Tommy and Tommy's like, "Listen, you guys shouldn't just run off. Go to Maria, his wife about it and
Yeah.
let's talk to a council about it, try to get a team." And Ellie's like, "What do you mean? You know, if that was you, Joel would have been on his way already." And Tommy's like, "Don't talk to me like I didn't know him. He was my brother."
Yeah. And she said he also said that Joe will be on his way halfway to Seattle to save my life.
Mhm.
But we lost a lot of people.
Mhm.
And you can't avenge
He said you
everyone.
just move
You know,
on.
you just
He'll
move
just take it
on.
to
You
the
have to.
chin.
Yeah, you have to.
Mhm.
Or you'll go crazy.
Yeah. All right. Meanwhile, a nomadic group with a strange symbol on their clothing and scars carved into both cheeks make their way through a wooded area. They whistle to communicate important messages. One of them whistled to notify danger, and they all take cover. The next day at a council meeting, Ellie and the others plead their cases and a vote is taken. In the end, Ellie's proposal is rejected in a 3-8 vote. After the meeting, Tommy seeks advice from Gail because he's worried about Ellie. That night, Dina catches Ellie planning to leave, and Dina tells her that she's going with her. They plan and pack, and with Seth's help, set off for Seattle well before dawn. So, this group of religious zealots, they are in the game. They're called what?
Okay.
The Seraphites? You Googled it. I remember them. And they would whistle,
Yes.
and it was terrifying because you'll just be like, walking, not minding your business. Everything that game is set out to kill you. But you're just walking, then you hear a long whistle like, I can't whistle. Like one of those whistles that's
Like
pathetic.
that?
It's those whistles where they put their fingers in their mouth. Nah, it's
Like
stronger.
that?
That's pathetic. But, but I don't even know how to do that, so let me shut up. You just hear that long whistle, and then before you know it, you're shot with an arrow.
Oh wow, they were hunters.
Yeah,
They were
they
like
were
basically
hunters. They were very scary. I can't remember the whole plot, but they were definitely, like I said, religious zealots and murderous people.
wow.
So I think this game, and the show, we are getting more of a backstory for them.
Or maybe why they're so vicious and then later on.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I said, I haven't played that game in in so long, but I do remember them clearly. And you Googled them. What they called, the Seraphites? You showed me
Yes.
something.
Yeah, they were called the Seraphites, and they are also known as the Scars.
Right. There we go.
They're part of a religious cult that was founded in Seattle the years after the initial outbreak of the cordyceps
Mm.
pandemic and based their belief systems on the teachings of a woman referred to as the
And I
prophet.
think we meet the prophet, and I think we fight her.
Later on. Well, apparently they mentioned when they were walking, they mentioned that the prophet was dead. So I don't know if
Okay,
they
no,
if they
that I
do
didn't
that.
fight her. I didn't fight her
Okay,
though.
we won't give any more information that we found
Oh,
on these
right, right, right,
people,
right, right, right,
just
right, right.
in case it kind of follows a storyline.
Mm.
But
And that little girl with her red hair, she was so cute.
yeah, with the scars on her face and working on her
Hmm.
face. You know that we keep making parallels to the Game of Thrones. They remind me of the what is it called? The sparrows
No lo
in the
so.
Game of Thrones.
The sparrows.
The
Que cosa?
Yeah, it's the High Sparrow, like that guy, the old guy or
Why do they
whatever, in the
remind you
gray.
of them? Isn't
Just
that the
like
maester?
no, it's not the Maesters. The High Sparrows was like the coat, and like later in the seasons, and I don't know. It's just the way they were moving around in their outfits and their clothing, and like their, their like I don't know. Just it kind of reminded me of them.
And it was
But
just remember when they hid, when the scars hid, and the redheaded girl, she was like, "Are they demons?" What did her father say?
no wolves.
Wolves. Hmm.
Yeah,
So I'm interested to see where that's gonna go.
yeah. So when we head back to Jackson Hole, and Ellie gives her speech.
Hmm.
Well, when she
One thing
goes
to
into
notice really quickly, the night
yeah,
before the council meeting, she's training
mm,
with Jesse,
Jesse,
and
yeah,
it's interesting because in the beginning of the show, Jesse and Tommy are working to rebuild the walls of Jackson Hole, and Tommy's trying to hammer something, but Jesse notices that Tommy's getting tired. He's older now, and Jesse is. But so Jesse goes and he takes a hammer from him, and they switch jobs, and I think that really shows, like, subtly, a shift in power.
yeah.
Jesse is taking over. He's taking other people's positions, especially now that
He draws
Joel's gone,
counsel. Yeah, exactly. He has to step up.
and now he's a councilman.
Yeah,
So yeah, and he
that's
tells
that's
Ellie, he's like, "Listen, organize your thoughts so you don't sound like a stark raving lunatic, when you present yourself to the council tomorrow." So yeah, he helped a lot with that
and that
speech.
was yes, and that was very very good advice because you know the first lady. So everyone made rational arguments, in my
They
opinion.
sure did.
The first lady was like, "Hey, we love Joel. We feel for Tommy. We feel for Ellie, but we can't send 16 of our best people off the wall to go and track these people down in Seattle.
To avenge a
There's
dead
no
man.
guarantee. Yeah, to avenge a dead man.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee they're coming back. And what if raiders come
Hmm.
and
We're
the wall's not
vulnerable.
ready yet?
Yeah, yeah.
We're vulnerable. It's too
And she's
much
like, "I
too soon."
lost my sister. We're
Exactly. I
all
lost my
suffering."
sister.
And like you said, I'm so
Yes,
sorry, but it doesn't make any logical sense. And I fully agree.
fully agree. And then the other guy, what was his name? Calvin? I forget.
The
The second.
religious dude, not well, the ageist dude who has like religious sentiments, but he's not religious, who was like
Yeah,
Ramsey.
he was like basically forgive and forget. And I understand that sentiment too, especially in this world.
Because you will learn how the cycle of revenge never ends.
Never ends. It never ends. And not just that, but like there's it's the type of world where you expect to lose people. You know? You expect it. It sucks, it's hard, but at the end of the day, there's some expectation that people are gonna die.
But one
Especially
thing, well, continue
yeah.
your sentence and I'm gonna jump it.
No, I'm gonna say especially a Joel type character who was on patrol on
He made a lot of
patrol,
enemies.
like made a lot of enemies, killed a lot of people. Like he was a high probability to
He
die.
was
You
due.
know what
He
I mean?
was due for some
He
reckoning.
was due. Like, yeah.
So what?
You're about to say.
I'm gonna say it after you recap Ellie's speech and what you remember from that.
So Ellie's speech was really
Oh, wait. Before she gets to the speech,
oh yeah.
guess who backed her up? Seth the
The
bigot.
bigot.
Seth the bigot.
Seth the bigot.
He said they came in our house. They took one of ours, and they'll come back because we didn't make them pay. And I'm like, if
Yep.
this is not a Southern white man,
It's once again, I understand the logic. Understand the logic because they could easily come back. You'd be like, hey, this Jackson Hole has a lot of resources. Already have a wall. We just have to go up there, kill the leader, and take over, and that's okay. Like basically, there's no retribution for their actions, and it's a wild west, and they could easily go
say
and
that
take more
again.
if they want.
No,
Retribution,
say that alliteration that you cannot say.
wild
You
west,
said wild rest.
wild
All
west,
right, that's what you said.
the wild
There you go.
west.
But yeah, Ellie's speech. It was just so funny to me. So she says, I want everyone to know that this isn't about revenge. I opened mouth cackled. I'm like, Ellie, this is solely about revenge for you.
Yes, but she still made a really
Her
good
speech is
appeal.
great. Yeah.
Yes, her appeal
Mhm.
is not about revenge. It's about justice. You know, and like you said, that appeals to, you know, the sovereign American mentality. Or just I feel like the American mentality in general.
And in a world like this, there's no prison. There's no
Yeah, there's no
fines. You
prison.
could kill, rape somebody, and nothing happens. Justice is
Nothing
now
happens.
solely in the hands of your two fists, like between your two
Exactly.
fists. So
Exactly.
I do get it. It's like, listen, this is the wild west. Like,
Yeah.
we don't got no deputy. We don't got no sheriff. We are justice. We determine what's justice now because ain't no prisons. So
And she said, we need justice for all of us, just like you said. And no one else in the road cares what happens to us. No one else in the road cares about what's going to, like, what happens to us. And she said, what brings us together is that we care about one another and not so much as social gatherings, but we will go and have each other's backs when needed. So I think she I honestly believes she gave the best possible speech she could give. But I understand the council's decision is like, yeah, we hear you. We need justice, but we can it feels like it's outside their jurisdiction.
mm-hmm.
You know, like if someone was murdered inside of Jackson Hole, then yes, absolutely you can hang them, you can send them off the wall, you can have justice there. But someone goes and murders him outside of the city, like people you don't know who they are, and they're all the way across, like in Seattle, like 3 states over, a few states over, right? It's not practical anymore for them to enforce that, you know.
And one
So I get
thing, Dina loves Ellie so much. Like, did you see Dina's face when they rejected her appeal? Just looked like Dina was just looking at Ellie. And like you could tell Ellie was crushed, but Dina's face reflected that because she knew how much that meant to Ellie. Like,
yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And I think also that she knew that just because they rejected her, Ellie is now going to want to go by herself.
yeah, she going. It don't.
She goes,
She's like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I just want to run it by you first. I'm going.
she just wanted 14 other people to go with her.
Yeah. But
So
Ellie going.
she was like, hey, I can come with me, but I'm still going.
This don't stop no show. Like I am going.
Yeah.
But what did?
Because as soon as she got home, she started
Yeah,
packing.
She was ready.
As soon as she could
And
go, she was ready.
Dina knew. But what did you think about Gail and Tommy's conversation? And this is where they really, I think this conversation is where they why they named the episode that did, The Path,
At
at the Little League
the
game.
softball little league game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
One thing I
Tommy
noticed, I'm like,
came
don't nobody got holes in their clothes. Everyone's clothes.
what,
That's
Mary?
apocalypse. Like, you don't have any holes in your clothes?
You're so
Everyone looks kind of like Dina's jacket looks really dirty, but there's no holes in anyone's clothing.
So anyway, when
She had a sun hat.
Tommy
She had a straw sun hat on, not a hole in the sun hat. That's made of straw. I get holes in that by just
it's not hard to
being.
repair a straw sun hat,
But
Mary.
you would see the workings of repair. It wasn't frayed or nothing. It was in pretty good condition, perfect condition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna complain about that. These people aren't ugly enough. Everyone's teeth
People
are
are ugly.
white. Like, no one has like really bad skin from lack of sunscreen. I don't see
No one
calluses on
has
people's
what
hands.
Genghis? Is that what it's called?
Jaundice, yeah. Where the jaundice at? No one
Jaundice,
has scurvy. Like, what's going on?
yeah.
I don't think y'all really suffering, to be honest.
So anyway, when Tommy goes and he goes to meet Gail, he essentially he's very, very worried about Ellie and that Ellie would turn up like Joel. We're basically using excuse after excuse after excuse to further choose violence and basically get darker and darker. And Gail
But why
essentially
did he
was like,
say? Why do you remember why he said why? Like he said I just don't want her to go back the same path Joe did, justifying his actions when he really was just lashing out. What do you think he was
yeah.
lashing out against?
Well, his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter getting killed.
For his daughter, for the infection, for his loneliness. You know, he made it everyone else's problem whenever he could. And I think that was really insightful. It's like, oh wow, Joe was just lashing out. Like, he was a pained man. And yes, I understand that, like, this is survival, but like, he was a raider. You know what I mean? He was just lashing out and like trying to release that pain under the guise of, I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to protect Ellie. You were lashing out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gail says something along the lines of that nurture doesn't impact people as much as nature.
Mm-hmm. Nurture can only do so much.
Only do so much. Meaning that she says that Ellie and Joel share the same nature and they were walking down the same path. So she believes the reason why they bonded is because both them niggas are crazy.
She said, if she's on a path, it's not one Joel put her on. No, I think they're walking side by side from the very start. So Ellie came out the poom poom crazy. And one thing that's interesting, coming out the poom poom, in season 1, we didn't cover it, season 1, but watch season 1, y'all. But in season 1, Ellie's mother gets bit, but luckily, and this is why we think her immunity, that this is a rumor, because Ellie mother's got bit, I think, when Ellie was she was still in the womb. And I think some of that led to some immunity. But it's funny because the woman who played Ellie's mother is the voice actress of Ellie in the game.
Oh, in the show.
Mm-hmm. In the first season. Yes. Ellie. Yes. So Ellie's mother in the show is the voice actress of Ellie in the game. Because as soon as she came on, I was like, hold on. I know that voice. And I was like, that's Ellie. That was very nice to see. Awesome. And at the end, when she finally gives birth to Ellie, she says something along the lines of like, knock him dead, Ellie, or give him hell, Ellie. And it's like, this is such an Ellie thing to say. And it was great. It was great. Wow. But yeah, this conversation, she came out a fighter. She came out a fighter, and she saw energy. She saw Joel and was like, twin. He's like, twin. And then they became murderous twins together.
She didn't meet Joel as an infant.
I know. You know what I mean? When she met Joel, they saw something in each other. Probably something that Joel didn't see in his own kid and didn't see in Sarah. Like, I think he might have said something like that. Like, Sarah, she was a good girl. You know what I mean? She didn't have to survive like that. But I think Sarah, in these circumstances, would have acted a bit differently. You know?
Mm-hmm.
She said,
Yeah,
Gail said, some people just cannot be helped.
she did say that. Like, don't save her. She don't want to be saved.
Hmm. But
So Dina,
I
right? She
said it
goes to.
again. I said it before and I said it again. Dina is a ride or die. I
She's ride or
get
die.
why everyone's in love with her. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
She came. She came with a map. She came with supply list. She came with
She
everything
literally
to get
came
Ellie.
in and she was like, "So you're leaving?" And Ellie's like, "Don't try to convince me not to go." And she's like, "Who said I was going to convince you?" And it's like, once again, that's a twin. Yeah, she's smarter than Ellie. She thinks things through, but she's just as hard headed as Ellie. She's got just as much
Yep.
spunk, just as much anger.
Yep.
She just thinks things through. And she comes in and she's like, so what route you're gonna? What's your plan? Ellie's like, find Abby and kill her. She's like, what route? I see you. Yeah,
Northwest.
northwest. Okay, so when you're going northwest, I see you have all these guns, but no medical supplies. What if something gets infected? What if you break an ankle? She's like, and she has a map. Dina pulls out a map. She has a whole route planned out from start to finish. She made an idea for provisions. She said, "Listen, our winter coats are going to be our blankets. We're going to wear all the clothes that we can carry. We're going to ride on one horse to save resources to try to feed two horses. Like, get rid of them chucks." She set up something with Seth, like, to help them. She had it all planned out.
And I feel like she had it planned out for months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is something she went immediately after and planned. I feel like this is something that Dina planned for months, for a long time, because it took a long. She put a lot of thought into it, was prepared, and I feel like she was ready.
Yeah. And the woman who plays Dina, Isabel Merced, she's just she's just magnetic. Like, even like when they were looking at the route at the map and they were trying to pronounce something. I think it was called Saquami. And like how the way she looked at Ellie and she said, "Yeah, Saquami." It's like I would have kissed her right there if I was Ellie. Like, you are my life. You just came. You're just always there for me. You support me. Even when you know it's against my best interest. But you still come with a plan because you
It's against Dina's best interest
yeah,
too.
it's a bad idea. It's really dumb, but she knows. Like I said, her and Dina, they're they're the same person, But she also knows Ellie's going to do this whether I help her or not. So I might as well go along and try not to help her not get killed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Hope her not get killed.
But yeah, just looking at Dina, I'm like, everyone should have a friend like Dina. Like, listen, I support you in your stupidity, but I'm going to help you make it more smart. Like,
Ellie and Dina make a stop at Joe's grave before beginning their journey. She pays her respects bittersweetly, leaving coffee beans behind. Her and Dina take off on Shimmer. Eventually, Ellie and Dina set up a camp for the night, and Dina admits that she didn't kiss Ellie on New Year's Eve because she was high.
do you well, one thing going back, what do you think the show's trying to say when Seth helps them before they leave for Seattle?
Well, in the um, behind the scenes section,
Oh, I
they
didn't watch
showed
it. What
that
they say?
they were basically like Seth is a complex character, that he was obviously bigoted against the girls, but he was the first one to stand up and defend them, and he helped them on their journey. And he said basically people are like that. People can have a certain ways and certain perceptions, but they can also still love people, right? Like he said, he could still love Joel, he could still love Ellie, right? Even though he behaves a certain way. And I kind of like, I feel that's true. I think people, and you're going to disagree with what I'm going to say, but I think it's true. I think people have a tendency to let their biases overtake their judgment, but their biases don't typically define 100% of who they are. You know, like they can have their biases comes out, either bigotry or whatever it is. Um, But I don't think that always has to define them.
No, I
All right.
agree. It's just I don't have
I accept it that
tolerance
way.
for certain
Yeah.
biases. I don't have
No,
tolerance for it. You
absolutely.
know what I mean? But in a world like this, listen, I'll have more tolerance because we need each other. We need each other more than I need you to. Mm.
Wait, what you're saying? You said you have more tolerance for bigots or more tolerance for people in
No, I'm
general?
saying me currently in this world, I have no tolerance for bigots. So you're saying that like people's biases doesn't make up who they are as a person. And I agree with that. It's just for me, I have no tolerance for that as a Black woman. I have
Yeah.
no tolerance for that. But in a world such as that, I will have tolerance because in my mind, survival precedes, you know what I mean? I get tolerance because I'm trying to survive. So I may not like you, but I'm not going to, I know we need each other. And I think that's what's going to take over.
Yeah, but you know, making the counter argument to that, right, is I don't think Seth was inherently evil because he was
No,
bigoted.
I'm not saying
And I
that
think that's
either.
what
I'm
they're
just saying
saying.
I have no tolerance for
And
that.
you don't have no time. You don't got no time for it.
Yeah, I have no tolerance for
Yeah.
that. But I agree
Yeah.
with you. Like people aren't that black and white. But I
Yes.
have no in this
It's different.
world, I have no tolerance for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, coffee bean reference. Did you get that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I was confused what that was.
Yeah, so was I. Let me see. Let me see if I can Google it real quick. Google that, John. We haven't seen Google that, John, in a minute.
Google that, John.
The Last of Us.
We should make like a little jingle whenever we have to Google something.
All right, we can access. Okay, the rap. Why does Ellie put coffee beans on Joel's grave? Na 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 na. Coffee plays a bigger role in the games than in the show. Often when Joel and Ellie are in a place that has a coffee pot or used to sell coffee, Joel will make a comment about missing it since the beverage, I do remember that, has become a luxury after the cordyceps infection. When Ellie does eventually try coffee, I remember that. I was wondering if I made that up. I was like, yeah. When Ellie tries it, she says it's too bitter. Ellie leaving beans on Joel's grave is a sign of respect to her late father figure, but more than that, it's a touching and personal tribute that calls back to happy memories of Joel. Yeah, because I guess he loves coffee and finding coffee beans, that probably was a luxury. So he's
Mhm.
like, hey, I have some coffee beans. I found them. Here you go. Okay, that's cute. But about Joel's
Yeah.
grave, that was such a beautiful scene. It just seemed very American, like amber sheets of grain softly swaying in the wind, like and just peaceful. And it just let us know that hopefully wherever Joel is, he finally found peace that he never got on Earth.
Mary Joe's in hell. I get the concept, but that nigga's in hell.
I don't disagree with
All
you.
the people he killed, he had no peace.
I think
Like,
he had a lot of time to atone while sitting there and getting his brain bashed in by Abby. I think he had a
man,
lot of
get out
time
of
to
here.
atone. I'd like to think
Mm,
he's in heaven. I'd like to think so.
man,
But
that's funny.
one thing about so when Ellie and Dina are in a tent, it's funny because like Dina just lays down and she's about to go to bed, and Ellie's just kind of sitting up, kind of expectant, like, all right, we in this tent together. What's gonna happen? But Ellie is not a homewrecker because even though Dina admitted that she kissed her because she wanted to, not because she was so high, they're in a tent together, all alone. She doesn't do anything because she knows that she went back to Jesse.
Yeah, I think it's also a home wrecker, but also Ellie has self respect as well. And she's like, I don't want anyone who's not gonna be with me long term, you
I
know?
think she's
And
scared. It's like, listen, you're gay for play. You're I fell in love with a straight girl is what Ellie is giving. Like you're gonna run back to Jesse whenever you can, and that is what she did. So I get her being guarded and be like, whatever, girl, I'm not paying you no mind. Like, and
yeah.
even Dina was like, you're gay, I'm not, and I'm like, girl, yes, you are. You're definitely not straight. You're not straight. Either way you look at Ellie, you are not straight, girl. You might not be gay, but you're not straight. Like you're definitely bi-curious or something. But
The next day, Ellie and Dina find the dead bodies of the nomads we were shown earlier. They were gunned down, men, women, and children, and left to rot. Shaken, Ellie and Dina wonder if Wolf is responsible. They finally reach Seattle. Meanwhile, Manny from Wolf is scoping down Seattle from a large office building. Below him, tens of heavily armed Wolf members in jeeps and an army tank patrol the streets. So
Whew.
when they find the nomads and they're slaughtered,
Even a
right?
little redhead girl.
Even the little redhead girl. It was it was pretty dark,
All
right?
the
It was
bees, I mean, all the flies just flying around. Just no dignity, no
no
respect.
dignity. And like even just the way that they didn't just shoot the people on the main road. They went and hunted them down in the bushes
Yeah.
and shot them down in the bushes and shot the
Mhm.
dude in the back. It is just a savagery that
Yeah.
was completely unnecessary
Mhm.
because all they had was
Yeah,
hammers.
all they
They
had
were
was
walking around with
freaking
just hammers.
hammers, and they were
The hammer.
hiding. They were yeah,
Mhm.
it's disgusting. It was ugh.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And one thing, it's in like when Dina and Ellie go to Seattle and you see all those abandoned cars, it's like it made me sad. It's like what sort of pandemonium happened on outbreak day? People just
Oh
rushing to
yeah.
get in their cars to drive away from these monsters, seeing their loved one turn into monsters, trying to drive away, but you can't because everyone's trying to leave the city and it's just
Hmm.
packed. So you get out of your car, you abandon it, you run on foot. Doesn't happen. You ever get killed by people, but it's just I just can just imagine that scenario. There's something spooky about like things that are abandoned that were made specifically for humans, like abandoned
Yeah.
chairs or like abandoned buildings. It's just like
Yeah.
this wasn't built. You know, this was built for a purpose. So where are those people now? It's ruins of like human relics is very scary and eerie.
It's scary because it doesn't exist now except for like I don't know, like really old ancient cities, you know. But typically, like you said, all these structures that we're used to, cars, you know, and like you said, the buildings. But that's always the risk of living like in these major cities when outbreaks happen. There's no way out. There's no way out. And it's just congested and yeah, no, it's definitely sad. But also, Ellie appreciated the beauty in Seattle, right?
Because
And
that's all she
oh,
knows. She don't know no big city.
yeah, yeah. So I think the scary part about this whole scene is that they have no idea. They're led into a false sense of security because they're able to get so close to the city. And the only reason they're able to get so close to the city is because their patrol wasn't doing his job at that moment. He was looking in that area, or he saw them and probably sniped them out.
Mhm.
So they got lucky, and because they got lucky, they was basically lullabied into a false sense of security, and they would go down there and see an army. I just don't understand why they don't correlate that whoever killed those dozens of people are still here,
Well,
right?
they were that is true. They're suspicious that is Wolf, but they don't know. Oh, I'm thinking about the numbers that they're still there. Because maybe yeah, 9 miles. It was like 9 miles outside of Seattle. So yeah, they're still there. That's not far. That's not far.
It's not far at all.
But I guess they're thinking Seattle's so big, and they're still imagining that it's a small group of people that
But like, I feel like what like Abby was traveling with 4 or 5 people. Would a group of four or
kill
five
all those
attack
people.
a group of 12 to 15,
If they had
or would a group of
guns, then the
30
other people didn't. But yeah, you're
you just
right.
let them go by?
Number.
You just let them go by. You know?
No, no. But I'm saying like if they're evil, I'm saying like if they're evil and they do attack them, like if they are bad and they do want to kill them. It doesn't make sense to me because still, if there were a lot more scars than the people they seen at Wolf, so it's like I guess they're assuming that who they met at Wolf is a little bigger than what they saw than the people who killed Joel. But right, it's like if they killed all these people, you don't think they're larger than you know what I mean than you expected them to be, but not that
Yeah.
large. Seeing them have army tanks, an army
Yeah. The
tank, I
tanks are
was like,
crazy.
wow.
The tanks are
And that's
crazy.
how
They
it is in
have
the game. That's how you were in over your damn head. Like,
wow, wow.
yeah.
So what would you give this episode,
An
Mary?
extra large bag of popcorn. It's my favorite episode yet
Wow, why?
because I love Gail. Like, Catherine O'Hara is
Yeah.
killing it, the therapist. Just
Okay.
like her talking about Ellie and just saying like what he said, it really stood out to me, saying that you really think Joel influenced Ellie. They were kindred spirits from the start. And
Yeah.
just yeah, that was really my favorite part of the episode. And Dina just showing that she is loyal to the bitter end. She will ride it till the wheels fall off. And just I love her and Ellie together. They're just perfect, you know? They balance each other out. Well, no. Ellie is what Dina needs. Ellie is what Dina needs. And I love her as a character. And yeah, it was my favorite episode.
I think last episode was my favorite.
Mhm.
This, I'll give it a large bag of popcorn.
Mhm.
I understand the emotional appeals, with Joel and them moving forward, but I give it a large bag of popcorn. I'm definitely excited to see what happens when they actually collide with the folks in Seattle.
Kalash.
Collide.
Mm.
Collide.
And Clash, you tried to
Live
put it
and
together.
clash. Yeah,
Making new
collage.
words. This ain't Wicked. All right, yeah, definitely I'll watch that, John.
Definitely watch that, John. This whole series is.
Absolutely. And guys, we are going to do Sinners. I know you're probably like, where the hell is Sinners? We're going to do Scissors.
Yep, we're
It's
doing
it's it's
this.
just really busy. It's really busy. I gotta watch it again. But Sinners is coming. So
Yes, it is.
give us some
It
bear
is.
with us, but it's coming. We come on. We can't not do Sinners. That'll be criminal. We're doing Sinners. So yeah, just
Exactly.
just just wait a little bit, all right?
Well, thanks, y'all, for listening to another episode of the Watch That John podcast. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcast and at Watch That John on our Instagram page, our YouTube channel, the Watch That John podcast. And until next time.
Bye.